Hey everybody, this is Dr. Flight. I hope you're doing great today. This is a video lecture that will focus on branding a nonprofit. So the idea here is to use branding techniques and concepts that we draw from marketing and branding of for-profit organizations and use those and implement those within a nonprofit environment. So brand is a something that we invest in and we develop to communicate information about the product and service that we offer. It also signals a lot of information to the customer who can then use brand in their decision-making processes, and it brings a whole lot of real positive benefits to the organization if they use brand and develop brand for their products and their name and so forth. So we'll spend a bit of time then looking at brand and its context within the nonprofit organization. All right. Branding is good. Absolutely. Hallelujah. Yes, it is. Now, this is not the reaction you're going to get a lot of times when you're talking about the incorporation of business and nonprofits. So there are a lot of nonprofit folks who do not embrace corporate America. They don't embrace the idea of consumerism. They do not embrace the idea that they should be branders or people who promote and develop a brand. And quite frankly, this is just a dangerous way to think and can heavily hamstring a nonprofit organization if they do not think that they should be branders themselves. So we want to get away from this idea that branding is a bad idea. We want to help consumers be able to understand the marketplace, and brands help them do that. Brands help distinguish one nonprofit from another. They also communicate a lot of information like quality and reputation to the marketplace. And in addition, the reason why brands and the concept of branding works is because it generally creates an emotional reaction between the organization and the marketplace. So, there are a lot of really good reasons for brands to be something that are promoted and developed within the marketplace. And nonprofits should absolutely think of themselves as having a brand and wanting to develop that brand further. The term brand is a definition, something we should think about. It's a name, term, sign, symbol, or design, or a combination of which, that are intended to identify the goods or services of a seller or groups of sellers, and very importantly, to differentiate those from their competitors. Above and beyond this, from a marketing standpoint, the brand is something that we have equated value to. So there's a monetary worth or value that's associated with a brand of an organization. So the concept of the brand is something that we invest in, we develop in, we manage, we focus on, and we can leverage in the marketplace to gain some financial considerations. Brands are generally first and foremost a name. Some names immediately convey a meaning or suggestion. So, we talk about a brand, we say it's a color scheme and a logo and a look and all of that. But first and foremost, it's a name. So the Epilepsy Foundation, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, Free the Children, all of these names are associated with the kind of what they do and the nature behind them, or the service or the need that's associated with them. Some names don't necessarily follow this. Some names are used for their owners or their founders. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, St. Jude's Children's Hospital, Jane Goodall Foundation, These are all names that are associated then with the founders of the nonprofits. Some names are abbreviations, or they have no direct connotation with the services or the nonprofits that are provided. Jesse's Journey, for instance, Lions Club International, the YMCA, UNICEF. These names, unless you know the meaning behind them, they may not have a direct relationship specifically with the program or the nonprofit that it's looking to support. So we definitely want to consider name, right? Name is something that transfers information. We also want to look at logos and symbols and the look and the feel of what we incorporate. Here's the Pittsburgh Zoo and their PPG Planetarium. What a cool logo that has different animals that are embedded in a tree. We have fish, we have a gorilla, a lion, a lioness, we have birds, we have a seal. So there are all kinds of animals that are associated with the zoo and the aquarium, and they're built into the logo in a fascinating way. Here is a real interesting lion. This is for the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And what's kind of unique or cool about this is if you look inside the lion's mane here, you're going to see a U, an A, a P, and then a B that's kind of outlined, UAPB, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's embedded there. We have the Hope for Children initiative. What a wonderful image of a parent or mother looking down at her child or a young person inside the shape or superimposed in the shape of the continent of Africa, which Hope for Africa Children Initiative certainly demonstrates. We have George Washington University, which as the GW. GW is kind of their trade name anyways, so GW stands for George Washington, and people would know that. But then we also have the Washington Monument, which is embedded in the W portion of their logo, which is kind of cool. It again adds meaning and symbolism. We have the Bronx Zoo. Fantastic imagery within the outline of the giraffes are an outline or skyline of the Bronx. So very symbolic of where the location of the zoo is. We have the London Symphony Orchestra, another fantastic nonprofit. If you look carefully, you'll see that the S and part of the O here, kind of in the middle portion, look to resemble a person's head, and then the tail end of the O and the beginning of the L would be the baton of a conductor. So we have a conductor who is in the shape of, or forms the shape of, the LSO, London Symphony Orchestra. So fantastic symbolism there. And we have a bit more mundane perhaps, but Goodwill. The Goodwill logo and name has a happy smiley face, but that happy smiley face forms the G, which forms the Goodwill portion of their name. So fantastic opportunities here to be very distinctive. But think of the, step back and think of the information that's being conveyed by their logo, by their symbol, by their name. All of these illustrate more hidden meaning that relates to their product and their service. And I mean, trust me, whoever created these is not a stuffy, traditional nonprofit person who says, branding's not for us. Clearly, these folks are all embracing branding in a very cool way to promote their nonprofit. All right, 5 successful keys to slogans. 1, successful slogans should build top of mind awareness. They should be things that you think about, things that are easily remembered in terms of slogans. You should be able to remember them. They should be inspirational, suggest benefits of the nonprofit. They should be easy to communicate and easy to remember as well. Share a wish. Share the power of a wish for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Share the power of a wish. What a wonderful, inspirational, easy to communicate, easy to remember. It suggests the benefits of the nonprofit for sure. And it's something that you can easily communicate. Don't mess with Texas. So this is a fantastic slogan that's been used very, very, very successfully as a anti-littering campaign. So the anti-littering campaign in the state of Texas adopted this slogan, "Don't mess with Texas." Now, there's a bravado and an egoism that happens where everything's bigger in Texas, and Texas is its own state or nation and, independent, and that's fantastic. So there's kind of like this bravado that's communicated, don't mess with Texas. But the hidden meaning here is don't mess it up, don't pollute, don't litter, don't trash, don't, clean up after yourself. Don't leave Texas in a messy shape, rather, clean it up. So again, it's been an extremely popular, very, very, very influential tagline for the, cleaning up process and anti-littering coalitions in the state of Texas. Play like a champion today. Now, this logo or slogan here is probably not the official logo or slogan rather of Notre Dame, but Notre Dame certainly uses it a lot. If you look at Notre Dame's crest, if their logo, it's not going to be play like a champion today, but it symbolizes and it inspires very much of the sentiment that they would like to portray for their students, for their alumni, for donors. It sends confidence. It sends a vision of aspiration. It's a fantastic slogan that meets all of the criteria that we would look for a successful slogan, builds top of mind awareness. It's even been used in other contexts. You'll see it played off of and actually modified, not officially, but it'll be modified by other folks. Learn like a champion today. Practice like a champion today. Play like a champion, care like a champion would care. You can insert really lots of things in there, and it still conveys the spirit of the message. And if you associate that with the University of Notre Dame, then they have absolutely done their job in using a slogan as a way to be able to, make something memorable. The final element here, we talked about name, we talked about the actual logo, we talked about this slogan, but there's also a last component that's really special for nonprofits, and this is something called a brand promise. Now, the idea in a brand promise is that a brand should consistently solve some type of problem, or it should do something for you. And importantly, we want whatever our brand to be to represent the mission of the organization. Whatever the mission is, the brand needs to reflect it. It doesn't reflect the products that we have necessarily, but it's a culture or a personality or something that the DNA, kind of what makes the nonprofit is its mission, quite frankly. So whatever your brand is memorable for, it needs to be memorable for the mission or the purpose of the nonprofit. That's the idea of a brand promise. It should support the image or the personality of the nonprofit and the nonprofit's clients. So think about brand personality, think about the image that the organization has as a result of its mission, and the brand should reflect that very, very carefully. So we don't go into a lot of detail here, but there's underlying meanings then that brands portray. And so when we think of a brand, we want to think of that brand and think of the compassion and the caring and the mission nature of the organization, not simply the product orientation of the nonprofit itself. So wrapping up here, branding is good. It absolutely is. If you're in an organization or if it's a nonprofit that feels somehow, some way that branding is bad or evil or something they shouldn't do, they really need to reconsider what the power of branding can offer them. Nonprofits and profits branding elements are investments. They take time to develop, but once you do that, you're able to capture value that's associated with the brand and leverage it. Finally, there are these 4 elements or assets or pieces to a brand that we've reviewed today. Number 1, the name. Number 2, the logo. Number 3, their slogan. And number 4, this concept of promise, or what the product or what the brand represents as a result of the mission of their organization. Okay, so that takes us through the idea of branding and how when we develop a product concept, we develop the firm and organization, we also develop a concept of brand that helps differentiate our product and our offer from our competitors. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for touching base and listening to this little introduction to branding. Remember, reach out to me if you have questions, and also be sure to follow up in the text and take notes as needed. Thanks. Have a great day.